and against the Golden State Warriors in their last game. This one was a struggle, but in some ways just as impressive as any of the other 8. We'll dig into why and how the Jazz showed another level that they might be a really good basketball team coming up on tonight's edition of Postcast. Hi, I'm David Locke. This is Postcast, your postgame show to the Jazz, live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope. Locked on Live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, and Locked on Sports on Periscope. I thought this was as impressive a performance by the Jazz as they've had this season because the Knicks have their number. This is a team that style of play is very, very difficult for the Jazz to play. Couple that with what was a bad shooting night for a while, which are inevitable when you shoot this many threes. You're going to have some nights where they go in and some nights where they don't. And this one really had a difficult script going for the Jazz. They were down by 15 in the first half. They were down by 13 at halftime. And then they had a bunch of elements that showed to me how impressive that this team can be. One, Donovan Mitchell's way off his game. I don't know if he got banged around a little bit. His legs just looked like they were dead. His shots weren't close. And they had enough firepower and enough other options offensively for them to be able to make enough plays and get it done. Mike Conley was the guy who led that way. Royce O'Neal was just fabulous in his performance tonight as well. The other aspect of it is the Knicks team wants to play one-on-one. They want to just clear it out and beat your man. And the Jazz tightened that up, played that much better in the second half, only allowed 35 second-half points. If you listen to Locked on Jazz today, one of the things I talked about was dominating quarters. The Jazz have just been having dominating quarters of basketball throughout the streak, and they did it again tonight. They had 2 dominating quarters, the third and the fourth. And frankly, when you're that good and you dominate in those, with the defensive rating in the second half tonight had to be about a 75. Like, that's dominating. They allowed 35 points in probably 45 to 50 possessions. They were absolutely incredible. Rudy was amazing. Rudy's night tonight was absurd. At one point, Rudy was plus 25 when the team was plus 10. And for us to be able to have those types of dominating quarters in the third quarter, we still weren't shooting right. Our effective field goal percentage was 48% coming into the third quarter. We still weren't like back up, and we never probably got quite all the way up, but we outscored them in the second half tonight, 62 to 35. I mean, that's something else. So that's about as a performance in a lot of ways as you can get from this team. So that's my takeaway tonight. It was tough. It was difficult. It looks like a 14-point blowout win in the box score. It was anything but. Austin Rivers goes 10 for 10 in the first half. Julius Randle's going one-on-one. RJ Barrett's getting the paint. The Jazz made a defensive adjustment where they were Rudy Gobert higher to the screen and took away those drives. Didn't let him get as freely in the paint. Great adjustment there. And offensively, they moved the pick and roll down to the baseline and brought Mike Conley into the middle, opening up lines to shooters. And then when they started getting rolling, they got rolling. And that's it. The other one, I just think it's really interesting to watch Royce O'Neal right now. He is playing with confidence. He's playing with a willingness to shoot, but he's also playing with an understanding of his role on this team. And there's a uniqueness to be playing the role of the fifth guy who they're not guarding. And Royce is figuring that out. Like, you don't want to like always cut and bring your man into the play because you're the fifth guy. But on the other end, like if they're not keeping an eye on you, you cut and get open. If they're not going to guard you early in the game, you come out in the first quarter and you think shoot, and bang a few threes early. And he was the one guy who made them early. So really impressed with how Royce is playing right now. All right, let's go to the various comments on the lines. We take your interaction. As I said, we're live on Locked on Live on Twitch, on YouTube, and on Facebook, and on Periscope, Locked on Sports. Benjamin says, Jazz kept grinding, incredible all-around effort. The hustle plays that turned this game. Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, bunch of guys with really impressive hustle plays tonight. This game showed the Jazz have grit and aren't going to give up when the going gets tough, says B.D. Clyde. I'll be honest. Early this year, the Jazz looked like a team that did not have that. Earlier this year, the Jazz looked like a team who looked like everybody had signed their contract and were fat and happy. And now they have added an element of play hard that they did not have earlier this year. Shoot enough threes, it's hard to lose. I mean, hey, we're probably a 38, 39% three-point shooting team. It's an astronomically high number. The more we take, the closer we'll get to that average. Tonight was 31%. That just means we had a few 45% nights. We had a 40% night the other night. But for us to win on the 31% night with our defense is pretty great. Played good, shot horrible. Any win after 8+ wins is a great win. Yeah, I'll take that, Jason. I'll buy that. We played hard, played good, didn't shoot it well. Donovan, our main guy, was off. They're difficult to play. I thought that was good. How good was the defense in the fourth quarter? It was awesome. 13 fourth quarter points allowed, 22 third quarter points allowed. That was pretty incredible. Bill Hendrick, love how we can score in waves. Yeah, you know what, Bill? That's it. That's like kind of my point of dominating quarters is it's also sometimes like dominating 5 minutes. I mean, we can be really, really dominant at times, and that's the sign of a great basketball team. 9 straight for the Jazz tonight. Michael agrees with me. Royce was a beast tonight. We totally agree with you, Michael. Can't believe the Jazz end up covering the spread. Ha ha. Well, I didn't listen to Locked On Bets today if they took that one, but I will admit, I did listen to Locked On Bets. They didn't use it. I did wonder when I saw that they were 30th in the league in percentage of threes. We're first in the league in percentage of threes taken. They're 27th in the percentage of threes allowed, and we're second. That the advantage we were going to have out of just taking 48 threes compared to their 27, I would probably have been willing to bet it, but I'm not allowed to bet NBA. So, but I said this before. If you take 20 more threes than your opponent, I don't think you can lose. I really don't. I don't like it when Mitchell struggles. However, I love it when we need the other guys to step up and they do it spectacularly. That is true, Daniel. And we have to remember that nobody has 72 good games in a year. Well, Paul wasn't listening, but he's very excited for the win. Thanks. Appreciate it, Paul. Brad, what did you see with the defensive change in the second half? You could see on the very first play of the game, we talked about in the broadcast, they brought Rudy up higher. So in the first half, you saw Barrett and Peyton and these guys just work themselves into the lane at will. And then they took 15 of their first 20 shots in the paint. Rudy moved up on the pick and roll and cut them off at a higher level so they couldn't get into the paint. And then they never were able to get an offensive rhythm from that. Rudy, 18 points, 19 rebounds, 4 blocks, plus 27. Amazing game. Yes. Truly, truly, truly amazing. Do we know if Bojan is actually healthy? I mean, I think he's healthy. He's really struggling at the rim. He's looking for a foul call every time instead of going up strong. His shot's still not great. I mean, I think this is what you're just dealing with. You're dealing with coming off injury for a year. It's going to be I think that's just part of the deal this year. Is Royce the third most important player on this team? I don't really go with that kind of stuff. Like, he's just playing great, right? Like, just give him his due for playing great. And I think that's it. Jacob Judd. Is Tibbs playing his starters 40 minutes going to mean they run out of gas at the end of the game or the season? Well, they might have run out of gas because of it tonight. What did he play tonight? 35, 31, 40. Not as bad as he usually does. He plays them a lot. And there's always been a lot of questions about that. Joshua, another game 2 years ago, the Jazz don't win when Donovan struggles. I mean, Clarkson's really important to that. Mike Conley's really important to that. Like, Clarkson finishes with a loud 13 tonight on 5 of 16 shooting. That's not great. Mike Conley has 19. Royce O'Neal has 20. Gotta love that Royce led us in scoring tonight. That is so cool. Good for Royce, season high. Fun fact, the Jazz averaged 43 three-point attempts in wins and 36 attempts in losses. There's actually sometimes a larger correlation between attempts in this league than there are between wins. Held another team under 100 is a great point by CFAB. Good points all the way here by everyone. Joshua, defensive rating in the second half was what, 70? So I don't know, but we can do a little math together on the air to wrap up the show. The Jazz defensive rating I had at halftime was 135, and they finished the night with a defensive rating of, I'm waiting for it to come up. Let's see if it comes up for me. I have a special box score that reads it for me. I'm not using Cleaning the Glass. Cleaning the Glass would just tell me, but I wouldn't be able to get second half. So let's see. It's not coming up right now. So here it is. It's finished at a 104.8. So if we're doing the average, 21 minus 104 is 79. So we had an 83 defensive rating. Is that right? Is that what I just said? Yeah, about 83 defensive rating in the second half. Let me just say that again. We had an 83 defensive rating in the second half. We're wrapping on that. Have a great one. Thanks for listening to Postcast. I'll be back with you tomorrow for Locked on Jazz. Have